Japan attacked Pearl Harbor in 1941, the United States government uprooted more than 120,000 Japanese Americans and relocated them to internment camps around the country. 7 decades later, the University of Arkansas is helping reveal the story of one camp, Rowher, a small farming community in southeast Arkansas.
Because of the significance of the event, where over 100,000 people were taken from their homes in the Pacific West and relocated to these camps for several years, it really tells a very important story of Americans' past.
Between 1942 and 1945, more than 10,000 internees passed through Rowher. Crowded barracks and buildings, surrounded by barbed wire fences and machine gun watchtowers, stretched across 500 acres.
It's hard to imagine it now. You go to the site, it's a small cemetery, 25 gravestones in the middle of agriculture, and you see a smokestack in the distance, you see a little bit of barbed wire near the railroad tracks, and you have no idea to comprehend the size and the scope that it once was.
The site is also in great danger right now in terms of the monuments and their condition and failure, and that some of them could actually collapse if intervention is not taken. And so that's one of the great things about the grant that we're able to help secure, is that intervention is now being taken for those monuments in order to retain them.
Kimball Erdman studies and preserves culturally significant landscapes. He and his students use new technologies to survey Rowher.
One of the things that we definitely tried to do in this project was combine the digital technologies that were offered through the Center for Advanced Special Technologies, CAST, here on campus, into this process of documenting the landscape.
CAST could offer advanced methods and tools ideal for documenting Rowher with the greatest detail.
We were approached by the professor, and we just thought that there were some high-density survey instruments that we could use. The things that we thought of to begin with were GPS to help identify and locate things on the site, and then also laser scanning to give a greater amount of detail than they might be able to collect on site during the short time they had.
There's just this whole series of technologies that allow us to better document and better understand some of the features of the site.
In January 2012, researchers and students hauled $500,000 worth of equipment to Rowher, then spent 4 months back in the lab completing the site's documentation, but they could only speculate on what might be Rowher's future.
And let's rank these in terms of priority, in terms of who do you think is the most important
survivors, people who actually spend time more, their families spend time.
We differed as a class as to what the right treatment would be. And the two sides that we took as a class were rehabilitation, which is basically repurposing the site for present use, and the other side that was expressed was restoration.
It's not restoring to a certain period, it's changing the site to meet a specific set of guidelines, what you want the site to do, not what it did or what it was for. If you were going to rehabilitate it, you'd make it fit more to your needs, but still keep all the character-defining features of the site.
In my own professional opinion, I lean towards the restoration because it would help best capture the character of the original designers of the memorial, and yet it would still be an appropriate design for people to come and visit.
One of the things that I would really like to see this develop into is a 3D visualization of how the camp would have appeared at the time. How much more real it would become to you if you could walk through the site and click virtually and click on a building and understand what it was and how the people lived there.
I'd like to see just the growing awareness of what Rowher was and what it continues to be.
An effort that the University of Arkansas hopes to carry on now that few internees survive.
Many of those early efforts were led by internees, and now that voice is leaving, the work is moving forward, unfortunately, without them, but I think they'd be pleased, at least with the way in which it's beginning to receive more and more attention and finally some funding in order to make sure that this place is preserved.